The year I almost died, Chinlin went almost insane with grief, even preparing to follow me in death. Finally, death was moved by him. Death said to me, "If his love for you never changes, you will live until he dies of old age. But if his heart changes, death will harvest my soul without hesitation." On our wedding anniversary, Death's scythe appeared once more. I knew that Chenlin's heart had changed. 5 years ago, I was crushed by a truck while saving Chenlin, beyond the reach of any medicine. It was graduation season. I had just found a job and Chenlin had only just gained a foothold in the Chen family. He was overwhelmed with grief, refusing to eat or drink for days, as if trying to starve himself to death to follow me. That was when Death appeared. He said to me, "You humans often say that love can conquer death. Make me retreat. Let me play a game with you. If his love for you never changes, you will live until he dies of old age. Otherwise, I will harvest your soul and forge you into a gem on my deadly scythe, with no more reincarnation. The condition is, you cannot tell him about this game." I naturally agreed. Compared to future lives after reincarnation, at that time, I preferred to stay with Chenlin for the rest of this life. But the premise was that he had to love me without change. Otherwise, I would become a gem on the scythe, with no more cycles of reincarnation. But now, I wish I had died back then. Died when he loved me the most, rather than facing the mess of today. Chinlin and I share a childhood bond. The year we were 6, his mother moved in with him. Within days, rumors spread that they were from an improper family. My parents repeatedly warned us not to interact with them. One day, I accidentally stained my younger sister's teddy bear. My mother scolded me in a fit of anger, and I ran out in a huff. She yelled after me, "If you have the guts to run out, don't come back." I truly had backbone, stubbornly hiding in the bushes downstairs without going home. When I was so hungry I was tearful, it was Chenlin who kindly helped me. At the time, he was collecting plastic bottles everywhere, trying to save money to buy his mother a scarf as a birthday gift. He didn't have much savings either. After buying me a meal, his little treasury was nearly empty. Feeling guilty but having no pocket money myself, I promised to collect bottles with him to repay him. Back home, as expected, my mother sneered sarcastically again. "So you know how to come back?" I said you wouldn't run far, probably just hiding in the bushes downstairs. I hung my head, not daring to speak. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw my sister's teddy bear drying on the balcony. She was nestled next to my father, happily watching cartoons, a world apart from my disheveled state. I could only silently wipe away my tears, suppress the envy in my heart, and return to my room to do homework. From then on, after school and on weekends, I collected scrap with Chenlin. Not only did I help him save enough for the scarf in time, but I also saved a decent amount myself. Back then, no other child wanted to play with Chenlin, but that didn't stop me from following him around, finding little jobs to earn money, happily saving up. Seeing the piggy bank gradually fill up gave me a great sense of satisfaction and achievement. But before I could show off to my parents, my sister found the piggy bank and used my money to buy herself a KFC meal. When I discovered the money was missing, I was heartbroken. I complained to my mother with grievance, only to be asked where the money came from. So, the matter of my sister stealing money was quickly brushed aside. They casually said I should give in to my sister. What was wrong with a younger sister spending her older sister's money? However, they criticized me thoroughly for playing with Chenlin, and confiscated my little savings. From then on, I had to distance myself from Chenlin. Otherwise, if my sister found out, she would report me to our parents. Later, after being scolded by my mother again and running away from home with nowhere to go, I met Chenlin once more. So, we started playing together again. And this playing continued for over a decade. Today, as Chenlin is no longer the illegitimate son of the Chen family, whom everyone could bully and even dogs could kick, he has taken power, avenged his mother, and wiped away past humiliations. In the news, he appears confident, eloquent, and sharp-edged, so much so that even my typically aloof older sister now regards him differently. He has finally become the person he always hoped to be doing, as he pleases, without restraint, with no one left to boss him around or humiliate him. He strides forward, surrounded by flowers and applause. No longer the lonely, pitiful soul who once huddled with me for warmth. Only I remain, stubbornly clinging to the beautiful memories of the past, stuck in place, believing his love for me was as solid as a rock, never to shift. But he looks back less and less, his heart filled with more and more things. I don't know how much space I still hold in his eyes. Now, I no longer wish to hold on. Actually, there were signs of Chun-Lin's changing heart long ago. At first, I didn't pay them much attention. About 2 months ago, my health began to deteriorate. Unexplained colds and fevers. I mentioned it to Chun-Lin, but he was busy picking someone up at the airport. He told me to drink more hot water, contact his assistant if needed, and go out more instead of always staying home painting. But I don't like going out. Although I miraculously survived back then, my face was burned by gasoline, leaving shocking scars. Chun-Lin never showed disgust. After he gained wealth, he took me to the best plastic surgery hospitals, but the scars were too deep to remove completely. One day last month, he said he was working overtime and wouldn't be home, telling me not to wait up. In the middle of the night, I developed a high fever and called him, hoping he would come home. A gentle woman's voice answered, saying Chun-Lin was in the shower, and she could pass on a message. The bitter taste of fever-reducing medicine still lingered on my tongue. In that moment, I couldn't describe the feeling in my heart. So late at night, where was he working overtime? And what kind of overtime was it? I wanted to rush to him immediately and ask, but my body wouldn't allow it. Later, I fainted from the fever. Fortunately, fate was kind. The nanny found me the next morning and took me to the hospital. When I woke up, there were over a dozen missed calls from him, and a message saying he had to fly out last minute for a business negotiation, and couldn't he visit me in a hospital? His assistant would pick me up and take me home. Finally, he said our wedding anniversary was in 15 days and asked what I wanted. He promised to bring it when he returned. You see, a man so busy with work, yet never forgetting our anniversary year after year, holding a high position yet not abandoning his humble wife. Everyone around praises him as a modern family man. How could someone like me, caught in it all, not be blinded? But in the past 6 months, I've seen his assistant more times than in the previous 5 years combined. He once cared for me meticulously, even wanted to die for me. We shared a childhood bond, promised ourselves to each other, and supported each other through hardships. Over a decade of feelings isn't something easily discarded. I told myself to try trusting him just this once. Even out of basic trust and understanding for a loved one, I shouldn't doubt him so easily. Because once the seed of doubt is planted, it quickly grows into a towering tree. I didn't want to impulsively plant a thorn in our relationship that would lead to endless regret. But soon, reality slapped me hard. Yesterday, my heart ached inexplicably. The hospital found nothing wrong, but Chun-Lin still hadn't returned. Today is our wedding anniversary, he called, his voice as steady and clear as ever, filled with obvious apology and concern. He said he was tied up with matters and couldn't return in time. He had already asked his assistant to arrange a gift for me, which would arrive in a couple of days. In 5 years of marriage, this was the first time he missed our anniversary. After hanging up, I immediately coughed up a mouthful of blood. No need to doubt or confirm anything further, because I saw Death's icy, gleaming scythe appear. He looked down at me, expressionless and emotionless. He said, "Over these 2 months I gave you 3 chances. He failed every time. You lost this game." Yes, I lost. Completely and utterly. So fast, too fast for me to even do anything before realizing I had already lost everything. It's all because these 5 years were so peaceful, making me completely forget about this wager. Death asked me with a hint of pity, "Do you want to know the truth?" Coughing up blood intermittently, tears streaming down my face. Blood and tears mixing and falling to the ground, reflecting my disheveled and decadent appearance, I replied, "Of course. Shouldn't one die with clarity?" The first time, Chun-Lin went to pick someone up at the airport, a beautiful girl. The second time, Chun-Lin said he was working overtime, but in reality the girl had encountered trouble in another city. He flew over overnight to help her resolve it. The third time, Chun-Lin couldn't make it back because the girl was hospitalized for vomiting and was found to be pregnant with his child. He kept it so tightly under wraps, not daring to let me know even a sliver. No wonder, because the girl is none other than Jiang Yu, my dear little sister. At this moment I suddenly feel as foolish as a joke, both laughable and sorrowful. Of all people he could cheat with, why did it have to be her? He knows perfectly well how much I dislike her. He also knows she once looked down on him, leading the ridicule against him as the despicable illegitimate son. How could he kiss a face like that, unless it was true love? I wiped the blood from my mouth, washed my face, and began calling my father. If I called my mother, even if she knew something, she would absolutely deny everything. Who made me the least valued child in the family? We are 3 sisters. I am the second. My eldest sister was their first child, the focus of all their love and hopes, spoiled and cherished. Painting, piano, ballet. She never missed anything she wanted to learn. They hadn't planned on having more children, but my younger sister and I came along unexpectedly. We are twins. According to my grandmother, I was actually born second, but when registering our household, they changed me to the older sister. The reason was that I was born strong, while my sister was small and frail, staying in an incubator for several days. They wanted a sister for my younger sister, someone extra to take care of her. I really envied my eldest sister when I was young. She always had endless new clothes and things, while I could only wear her old clothes, use her old backpacks, pencil cases, play with her old dolls and toys. As for my younger sister, she was just like the other kids in class. Every season change or at the start of school, our parents would buy her new clothes, new backpacks, toys, dressing her up like a pretty little princess. Only thing she completely rejected would ever come to me. My parents said that my younger sister was not in good health, and was the youngest in the family, so we should take extra care of her. Especially since I was the older sister, I should give in to her. So I never thought to be jealous of my younger sister, because caring for her had become a habit. But I truly envied my eldest sister, talented, excellent in her studies, a role model praised by everyone. I told my parents I also wanted to attend hobby classes. They looked troubled, probably saying the family wasn't well off. And if I went to hobby classes, what about my younger sister? Who would take care of her at home? I naively said at the time, eldest sister is still at home and younger sister can play with her friends. But my mother glared fiercely, poking my forehead and scolding, how can you be so selfish at such a young age? Your eldest sister is busy with her studies. She has no time to take care of anyone. If you run off to hobby classes, your sister will have to stay home. Won't she feel sad? But I was also trying to learn. And it wasn't me who made my younger sister sick all the time. They kept telling me to be sensible, obedient, well-behaved. That even though I tried so hard to please them, even though I was already much more sensible and diligent than my eldest or younger sister, why did I still not get new clothes, new backpacks? Why still couldn't I go to hobby classes? Hiding under the blankets, biting my lip to keep from crying out loud, I listened to my mother loudly criticizing my lack of understanding in the living room. Later, I stopped asking for anything, silently accepting everything they assigned, because only then could I lessen my parents' reproach, make them stop taking their frustrations and anger from outside out on me. In those suffocating and oppressive days, only Chen-Lin firmly stood by my side, gently soothing all my pains. These memories are so painful to recall that I can hardly breathe. I have to stop thinking about them. Ending the memory, I wipe away my tears, calm my emotions, and wait for the call to connect. Come to think of it, my father and I haven't been in touch for a long time. Both my eldest sister and I are married. Only Jiang Yu still doesn't have a job, and my parents are worried sick about her. Although we went to school together, she repeated a year to get into university, then spent 2 more years preparing for graduate school entrance exams but failed. My eldest sister used money and connections to send her abroad to study. Jiang Yu should have graduated this year, but I heard she might need an extension. The call connects. Instead of asking about me, my father sounds tense and asks why I'm calling. I can't be bothered with pleasantries anymore and get straight to the point. When did my younger sister return? His voice turns cold. Dissatisfaction. Is that how you talk to your father? You never ask how your parents are doing normally. And this is your attitude when you call. Another surge of blood rises in my throat. The pain is so intense I can barely open my mouth. How can I care about what he thinks now? Clenching my teeth, I force out the words. My younger sister is pregnant. Is it Chen-Lin's? There's no reply on the other end. After a moment, the The call is disconnected. Seems like confirmation. If it weren't true, he would have immediately denied it, loudly scolding me for slander and ill intentions. After all, an affair between a brother-in-law and a younger sister, premarital pregnancy, how shameful for the Jiang family. Since even my father knows about Jiang Yu and Chen Lin, it means the whole family has known for a while. Only I, from beginning to end, was kept in the dark like a fool. Played for a fool. Perhaps by all reason and emotion I should confront, scream, seek out Chen Lin, Jiang Yu, the assistant, everyone involved in this betrayal, demanding justice from them all. But I'm so tired. Really so tired. A dying person like me, still having to rack my brains to outwit a group of unreasonable liars, enduring their emotional and moral kidnapping, only to let them witness my failure and madness in the end. My reason and pride won't allow me to become a hysterical madwoman. If I'm going to die soon, why should my final days be disturbed? Why cause myself more pain? Isn't my heart already hurting enough? Hurting so much that my internal organs feel twisted into a knot, as if someone is sawing back and forth with a blunt knife, making me wish I could die immediately. But I still have things to do. I can't die just yet. My cats, I still need to arrange their futures. Now, they are all I have left. My stomach churns violently, a burning sensation shooting up my spine to my throat. Another mouthful of blood gushes out. Mr. Death, I have a request. I cover my mouth tightly, blood choking my throat, triggering fits of coughing that feel like my lungs will tear out. Enduring the pain, I bargain with Death, and he agrees to give me 10 more days. But 10 days from now, when the sun rises, I will come to take your soul on time. While sorting through my relics, my mother's call finally comes, as expected, late. I answer and set the phone aside. My mother's loud voice hurt my eardrums. You know already? You didn't mean to. She genuinely likes Chen Lin. She made a mistake in a moment of confusion. As her older sister, don't take it to heart. Give in to her more. Hearing this, I feel my whole body trembling like a sieve, as if plunged into an ice cellar. That phrase again, give in to her more, has kidnapped me for over 20 years. Now, do I have to hand over my husband to her too? My lips trembling, I ask her, am I really your daughter? Have you ever seen me in your eyes? She instantly erupts with an even louder voice. It seemed like she was trying to overpower my questioning and maintain her parental authority. Have you grown wings? I worked myself to the bone raising you, and this is how you defy me. She's your sister, not in good health. What's wrong with giving in to her? Not in good health, young again. So from childhood to adulthood, whatever she wanted, I had to give it to her, even when she came to steal my husband. Was I born to be the extra one? Don't I have the right to be loved wholeheartedly? My parents, my relatives, my husband now, all gathered around her, as if forcing me to fight alone against the whole world. I had planned to spend these last 10 days peacefully, leaving with dignity and a bit of happiness, letting the great flood rage behind me. Why can't I escape this chaotic situation? Jiang Wan, I'm talking to you. Can you hear me? Say something. I take a deep breath, striving hard not to faint from the pain, the path of disgust. If there's anything, let Jiang Yu come talk to me herself. Don't keep playing the victim, hiding behind a crowd. Reap the benefits without making any effort. My mother follows with another sharp rebuke, and she still wants to chatter on and on. I simply hang up and block all their contact information. Don't bother me when I want peace and quiet. The clock on the wall ticks tick-tock. In the darkness, all is quiet. In half an hour, our wedding anniversary will be over. Chen Lin still hasn't called. Is he still immersed in the joy of being a father for the first time? Or is he racking his brains for excuses about the affair? I'm starting to get curious about how he'll explain this to me. They say the first thing a cured cripple does is throw away the crutch that once helped him walk. Perhaps that's what I am to Chen Lin. I witnessed his most impoverished, humbled moments. I know the inferiority, vanity, narrow-mindedness, and hypocrisy deep in his heart. My existence imperceptibly always reminds him of those unbearable past years, like an ink stain on a white shirt that can never be washed out. Just like my scarred face. Though injured to save him, it also serves as evidence of his most powerless, constrained time. Because that truck back then was arranged by certain members of the Chen family, who wanted Chen-Lin to never rise again. Speak of the devil. Midnight, 0 o'clock. An abrupt phone ringtone suddenly rings, catching people off guard. It's Chen-Lin. Death's figure quietly appears in the mirror. The call connected, but neither of us spoke. For a moment, the silence was so profound that only the sound of each other's breathing could be heard. After a while, as I was about to hang up, he cautiously broke the silence. Jiangwan, you're not asleep yet. You already know everything. He then let out a sigh of relief, as if relieved he didn't have to agonize over how to begin. I'm sorry. I impatiently cut him off. Don't bother apologizing anymore. It just makes me sick to hear it. Find some time this week, and let's get the divorce done. I won't divorce you. He refused me with absolute certainty. I sneered. No divorce. Do you want your child to grow up as a bastard from the start? Jiangwan, I know I've wronged you, but I absolutely cannot agree to a divorce. He softened his voice, adopting a placating tone. It was just an accident. I never loved Zhongyu. He doesn't love her, yet they still had a child. Is it his ridiculous need for conquest at play? People are always so contradictory. Look at him insisting on proclaiming unwavering loyalty to his marriage, while satisfying his hidden desires. Little Wanna, we've weathered so many storms together over the years. Why can't you forgive me just this once? Little Wanna. Hearing this nickname, I was momentarily dazed. How long had it been since he last called me that? What do you plan to do then? I asked wearily, rubbing my temples instead of answering his question. Arguing is so damn exhausting. And this wasn't even a proper fight. Yet it was already giving me a headache. This is my first child, I think. Here, his true businessman nature began to show, cold and calculating. I want Jiang Yu to have the baby. We'll raise it, give her a sum of money, and send her away. I couldn't help but let out a derisive laugh. Does he really think Jiang Yu would be so easy to get rid of? Chen-Lin is too accomplished. Over the years, countless admirers have thrown themselves at him, including celebrities from the entertainment industry. It's no surprise Jiang Yu fell for him. After all, such a top-tier golden bachelor was right there in front of her. Our eldest sister married a wealthy second-generation senior through her own merits, and I married Chen-Lin. Jiang Yu, always proud and ambitious, naturally refused to be outdone. And within her reach, Chen-Lin was the best she could see. All her other blind dates couldn't hold a candle to him. When she takes my things, she's always utterly self-righteous about it. And in her eyes, me giving in to her is simply what's expected. Jiangwan, what are you laughing at? He was very displeased, saying angrily, I told you, it was just an accident. Don't be unreasonable. Whether it was really an accident or not, you know the truth deep down. I forcefully suppressed the itch in my throat and retorted sarcastically. Chen-Lin, let's be blunt, you're just cheap. No matter how successful and accomplished you become, you can't wash away the inferiority complex and vanity ingrained in your bones. The more someone ignores you or treats you indifferently, the more you want to prove you're living 1,000, 10,000 times better than them. Jiangwan, you, conquering someone who once looked down on you from a high perch, gives you a peculiar sense of achievement, doesn't it? Enough. Jiangwan, I'm not here to negotiate with you. He exploded in rage, like a wild dog whose tail had been stepped on, snarling furiously. I'm just here to inform you. Jiang Yu will have this child. As for divorce, don't even think about it. I was trembling all over with anger and could only repeatedly tell myself to calm down. Only 9 days left. No need to waste time on unimportant people and matters. I took a deep, long breath, exhaling the foul air from my chest, swallowing down the full mouthful of bitterness. Chen-Lin, let's both calm down. We'll talk again in a month. A month? His voice suddenly rose sharply with suspicion, his tone dangerous and oppressive. What are you planning to do? What? Are you afraid I'll harm Jiang Yu? Then you overestimate me too much, I scoffed, deliberately adopting a contemptuous tone. I'm participating in an art competition. The submission deadline is in a month. I don't want your messy, trivial affairs disturbing my creative process. You can have as many children as you want. Just don't be so disgustingly persistent about shoving it in my face. He fell silent, but his breathing grew much heavier. After a moment he said soothingly, "Fine. Focus on your competition. For this month, no one will disturb you. And don't think about div or ... The moment I got this promise from him, I hung up and immediately blocked his number. Finally, the world was quiet. Looking at the wedding photo I had smashed on the floor, shattered and tattered like my own heart, riddled with holes, impossible to piece back into its original whole state. A plan for revenge suddenly occurred to me. Chenlin, I hope you won't regret this. 9th day of the death countdown. I went to the hospital's gynecology department. I wasn't pregnant, but I needed this medical record. After getting the examination report, I scanned an electronic copy, then burned the paper version along with the medical record book. I can draw, and I often use software like Photoshop. Referencing some pictures online, I photoshopped the content of the electronic report to show a pregnancy. I was even generous enough to Photoshop it into twins. I printed it out, kept the paper version safe, and then permanently deleted the electronic file. Mixing truth and falsehood like this makes it harder to detect. Then I started sorting through my collection. This collection includes gifts we gave each other, photos taken together over the past decade, movies and novels we watched and read together, recipes we researched, ... Each item holds special meaning for me. It's just a pity. If only life could be like the first meeting. Why should the autumn wind grieve the painted fan? I also painted some pictures, selecting important, sweet moments from Chenlin's and my past to depict. If you're going to put on a show, you have to go all the way. Translator's note. This is a famous line from a classical Chinese poem by Nailan Xingdi, expressing regret that things cannot remain as perfect as they were at the beginning. Translator's note. There seems to be a duplicate 13 in the original text. 8th day of the death countdown, I went to the pet hospital under my name. Over the years, hiding at home painting, I've gained some fame in the illustrator circle and saved up quite a bit of money. Chenlin never stinted on material things for me, either gold, silver, jewelry, bank cards. He stashed quite a lot in the safe. When I was little, collecting scrap, I'd see stray cats on the road, feeling sympathy but powerless to help. When I grew up, I wanted to keep cats, but Chenlin didn't like small animals. Later, I met a pet doctor named Yuan Yuan online who specialized in rescuing small animals. She provided the expertise, I provided the funds, and we partnered to open a pet hospital, taking in homeless stray cats. Yuan Yuan was also my fan, really liked my paintings, saying they had a sweetness of spring in them. The afternoon sun was just right. Several plump little cats meowed and surrounded me, affectionately rubbing against my calves. While petting the calico cat in my lap, I explained my final arrangements to Yuan Yuan. This pet hospital would be transferred entirely to her name. Of my remaining assets, aside from a portion donated to girls in mountainous regions, the rest would be left to these cats. I am unfilial and also petty. My things not a sliver, not a speck, do I wish to leave to those people from the Jung family. Yuan Yuan recovered from her initial shock, her eyes welling with tears as she asked if there weren't any other treatment options. I smiled and shook my head, comforting her that life and death are fated. No need for sorrow. She cried even louder. Sis Wanwan, you need to eat more. Look how much weight you've lost. You're only 27. How could heaven be so blind? Sis Wanwan, you must get better. With reddened eyes, I hugged her. Yuan Yuan, I'm entrusting the cats to your care. She choked out a yes. Finally, I lied to her, saying I was going abroad for brain cancer treatment, and asked her to keep it a secret for me. Not to tell anyone who might ask. Once, there was a homeless wanderer who met a stray cat when he was down and out. He and this homeless cat depended on each other for survival, huddling together for warmth on cold streets. Later, this wanderer became successful. Besides this stray cat, he acquired other cats as well. His affection was divided among many cats. Perhaps his favorite was no longer this stray cat, but some other expensive, beautiful cat. But still, this stray cat that accompanied him through harsh winters and scorching summers, that walked the difficult path with him, retained a special place in his heart. This place was unique, something no other cat could ever replace. As for Chenlin and me, even though his heart has changed now, the bond of mutual support through hardship cannot be matched by anyone else. Chenlin is not a good man, that he is a man of principle. A debt of a meal must be repaid. The slightest grievance must be avenged. So, both emotionally and rationally, he doesn't want to divorce me, nor will he marry Jiang Yu. I am useless and weak. All I possess is his not yet completely eroded affection for me. So, what I can do is use this remaining affection to punish Qianlin. 7th day of the death countdown. I didn't go out. Continued painting. Sorted through things, from the small eraser he lent me during our student days to the large ruby necklace he gave when proposing, marking each one meticulously. These marks, dense and numerous, narrate my deep love for Qianlin. Then I wrote a very long letter, elaborating in detail on the bits and pieces of our over a decade-long relationship. Those youthful green years, that immature and impulsive love, those fearless embraces and kisses, sharing weal and woe through difficulties. I want these years of shared feelings to become a heavy shackle, firmly imprisoning his spiritual world. At the end of the letter, in a tone tinged with slight regret yet also blessing, I will tell him about the game with death, and wish him a future free from worries. A lifetime of smooth sailing. Then he will know, because of the so-called one-time accident from his mouth, he caused the death of the wife who had always deeply loved him. Killed his lifelong spiritual companion. For the sake of a child born out of wedlock, he caused the death of his own other 2 children. How his wife, who shared hardships with him, and his 2 children, were driven to death in despair. Even if Jiang Yu marries Qianlin in the future, so what? As long as Qianlin sees her face, so similar to mine, as long as her child lives before his eyes for a single day, Qianlin will remember the me who died, and the 2 children who never had the chance to be born. I want guilt to accompany him for the rest of his life, unless he utterly severs all emotions and attachments. Otherwise, the price of these 3 lives will transform into a blade of time, stabbing deeply into his life. The longer time passes, the more painful and deeper the wound will become. Sorry, I am too useless. Sorry, I am too foolish. This is all I am capable of my revenge against Qianlin. 6th day of the death countdown, my eldest sister arranged to meet me. She contacted me through Yuan. The meeting place was set at a cafe next to the pet hospital. Yuan was worried about me and insisted on accompanying me. Eldest sister has lived well these years, a pampered full-time housewife. The only fly in the ointment is probably her discordant relationship with her mother-in-law. Her mother-in-law always looked down on her background, and she has never been able to give birth to a boy. I took a sip of coffee. It tasted like chewing wax. The closer to death, the more my 5 senses deteriorated. Eldest sister's purpose was clear. She came as an emissary for our parents. Nowadays, for major family matters, our parents like to seek her advice. She told me that Jiang Yi is in poor health. If she had an abortion, it would be very difficult for her to get pregnant again in the future. Besides, I haven't borne Qianlin a single child yet. Once Jiang Yu's child is born, it would be raised entirely by me. It would be like getting a ready-made child for free, without suffering the hardships of 10 months of pregnancy. I slammed the cup down on the table with a thump, smiling sarcastically. Eldest sister, if it's such a good deal, why don't you have Jiang Yu give your husband a child too? Maybe she have a boy with 1 try, and you won't have to drink bitter medicinal soups every day. What nonsense are you talking? Her face instantly lengthened, looking like someone who died by hanging in a past life. Eldest sister knows it's nonsense too. Then what nonsense are you spouting here? Might as well tear off the pretense. I'm a dying person. Why care about sisterly affection now? A mistress and her child. I should be grateful I don't strangle them, and instead magnanimously accept them. Her expression turned ugly. That's still your sister and your nephew. What mistress nonsense. Besides, Jiang Yu guarantees she'll leave, go far away, and never acknowledge the child. Eldest sister, let me ask you one thing. Do you believe that? I rubbed the rim of the cup, swallowing the blood rising in my throat, and mocked. Do you believe a mistress who tells you she wants nothing, just to have the child? None of us present are fools. Blood ties are bonds that can never be completely severed. As long as this child exists, the birth mother can go back on her word anytime. Jiang Yu is not the type to swallow insults. Her talk of leaving is, at best, an excuse. because Chen Lin isn't willing to divorce and marry her. But once the child is born, she can gain status through the child, making a scene, forcing Chen Lin to relent. What a clever stalling tactic. Xiao Wan, I understand how you feel. But no matter what, Jiang Yu is our sister and that child is our nephew. Can you bear to not care? No, you don't understand. If you knew your mother-in-law has already found a close friend for your husband, plotting to leave you with nothing, would you still sit here pontificating so eloquently, full of talk about family affection and filial duty? Unfortunately, that day at the hospital's gynecology department, I overheard eldest sister's mother-in-law talking with that woman. If eldest sister had been fair and impartial today, not taking sides, then I would have told her this news. But she didn't. She chose to stand with our parents, siding with family over reason that's understandable human nature. Then I, too, have my own selfishness. Not wanting to help someone who has always been harsh to me is also human nature. I was silent for a moment, then forced a smile of seeming relief. Deliberately bitter. Eldest sister is right. This is Chen Lin's first child and also my nephew. I shouldn't be so heartless. Although I hate Jiang Yu, for Chen Lin's sake, I deliberately raised my tone, like a little woman deeply in love with her husband. I've thought it over these days. The child is innocent. Adults' mistakes shouldn't be blamed on the child. Thinking of how hard Chen Lin had it back then, I can't bear for his child to suffer the same pain. So, I agree to raise Jiang Yu's child. You ... double quote. She hesitated. ... Are you sincere? Of course. You ... Pochi. Of course. If eldest sister isn't reassured, I can also leave for a while. You know, I said with feigned embarrassment, touching my face. I've always wanted to travel for inspiration. This would be a good time to go out and see the world. She nodded with satisfaction. That works too. If you need anything, you can tell me. I'll arrange it for you. I smiled indifferently. Yuan observed the whole process, seething with anger. As soon as we returned to the pet hospital, she exploded in fury. What kind of family is this? Brother-in-law and sister-in-law ... The whole family covering for them. Sis Wanwan, you've really had it tough. Pa. Landing in such a family is just plain bad luck. I patted her hand, smiling to comfort her. Yuan, I'm leaving in a couple of days. Don't tell anyone. If asked, just say I went abroad traveling. I don't want my final days to be disturbed. She vowed, patting her chest. Don't worry, Sis Wanwan. I definitely won't let those scumbags bother you. If the pet hospital didn't need her, she would have planned to accompany me. She tearfully bid me farewell. Sis Wanwan, take care of yourself. Such a good person like you will surely have heaven's protection. The cats and I will be waiting for you to come back. You take care too. This farewell was truly a final one. 5th day of the death countdown. I removed Jiang Yu from the block list. Clicked into her social media feed. Turns out she had long been kindly hinting at me. It was just that I was blind and didn't see it. Looking at those subtly bragging photos or videos, it was clear Chen Lin had put a lot of thought into her. I gave one a like. Soon, she initiated a video call. For a moment, 2 similar faces appeared on the screen. Despite being the same age, Jiang Yu was youthful and beautiful, her face radiating happiness and joy like a carefree college girl. In contrast, I looked lifeless, ugly and haggard, like a middle-aged woman weathered by hardships. People are visual creatures. With 2 faces like these side by side, anyone would choose the prettier one. Things having reached this point, there was no need for pleasantries between us. I directly told her 3 things. I agree to our parents' and eldest sister's request. I agree to raise your child for you. Whether Chen Lin divorces or marries you is none of my business. I want a divorce, but he refuses. The elders in the Chen family love children. If you want to secure your position, you can start from the Chen family side, forcing Chen Lin to divorce and marry you. You'd be this nice to help me? She asked suspiciously. I deliberately glared at her fiercely, full of resentment. Of course I'm not this nice. But our parents threatened to kill themselves. I have to agree even if I don't want to. Might as well get the divorce sooner and get a large sum of money. Sure enough, once I brought up our parents, she believed it a bit more. It's true that the Chen elders really love children. I wasn't lying. However, Chen Lin is currently bidding on a major government project with a high probability of winning. This project is closely related to City A's development plan for the next 10 years. Once successful, it would bring immeasurable benefits to the Chen group. Chen Lin would also smoothly take over the inheritance from old Master Chen. But if it fails, the Chen group would miss a golden development opportunity, not only losing important markets, but likely beginning a decline. At this critical juncture, Chen Lin must have taken some measures to hide the affair, because he's not the only descendant in the Chen family, and the children of the legal wife are not pushovers either. The Chen group's competitors are also watching closely like tigers eyeing their prey. In this deathbed farewell script, I've cast Jiang Yu in the role of the malicious supporting female lead, while I am the flawless white moonlight. A dead white moonlight. What a perfect, useful persona. Might as well use it. I want to use Jiang Yu's hand to leak the news of the illegitimate child. Interested parties will then amplify it. Jiang Yu, doted on since childhood, has never suffered hardship and has a lot of nerve. I don't know how big a scene she can make, but she'd definitely try her luck with the Chen family. Goal achieved. I hung up the video. Blocked Jiang Yu again. 4th day of the death countdown. I continued staying home, writing that letter. The pen flowed with memories of infinitely beautiful pastimes. Yet the more I wrote, the more disgusted, pained, and hateful I became. My heart felt gripped by an invisible hand, tormented, unable to break free, until I became completely numb. Only endless desolation remained. Why did that once gentle, kind young man turn into such a cold, heartless person? So even two people who loved each other so much could end up as complete strangers. Do all deeply cherished affections, tested by time, ultimately become unrecognizable? Tears and blood stained the letter paper repeatedly, forcing me to write in fits and starts. When it became too painful to continue, I would paint or sort through things. Translator's note. Another duplicate 17 in the original. 3rd day of the death countdown. I finally finished the letter. I also sorted and arranged those collections, categorized them. Together with those paintings, this letter, and the pregnancy report, I locked them all in a small storage room not usually used. I hid the key in that potted landscape rockery Chen Lin loves most. I began writing a suicide note for my parents. This note contained no accusations or blame, only a straightforward account of everything I had endured from childhood to now. At home, eldest sister was always top priority, followed by Jiang Yu, our parents, and lastly me. Whether in the past or now, every time she did something wrong, Jiang Yu only needed to pout or act cute to get our parents' forgiveness. But the bitter consequences of the mistakes always fell on me. I don't blame them for being biased. After all, the human heart is also positioned off-center on the left, not in the middle. But I will tell them, if I could live my life over, I would never again choose to be their child. Mr. Jiang, Mrs. Li, being your child hurts too much. Let's part on decent terms. Never meet again. 2nd day of the death countdown. My eyes were gradually losing their sight, and my hands no longer obeyed me. I didn't know if it was because I had cried too much recently, used my hands too much, or perhaps because death was approaching. I couldn't cough up blood anymore from my mouth. Probably there was no more blood left to cough. When I cried until I couldn't calm down, digging my nails into my skin, I couldn't feel the pain anymore. It was as if my whole being was now just a layer of skin, shriveled and draped over a skeleton, hanging on by sheer willpower. I had promised to live these last 10 days happily, and in the end, I kept recalling the past, kept torturing my emotions, body and mind over and over again. After finishing the suicide note, I placed it with those collections, ensuring Chen Lin would see it and pass it on to the Zhang family. I set up a timed email containing a photo of that pregnancy report. The sending time was set for 6 months later. By then, the body should have completely decomposed. The final day. Traveling light and alone, I drove to the seaside. While my eyes could still perceive light, let me watch the sunrise one more time. The morning dew was lovely. The salty, damp sea breeze slowly drifted in through the car window. After a while, a fiery red sun gradually rose from where the sea met the sky. So beautiful. This vibrant, exuberant vitality. I closed my eyes, pressed the accelerator to the floor, and drove the car deep into the sea. Epilogue. This past spring festival, Qinlin accompanied Jiang Wan back to her family home for the New Year celebration. The whole extended family was there. By then, he was already the CEO of the Chen Group. Zhang Yu, frustrated by a string of unsuccessful blind dates and feeling disgruntled everywhere, practically had green lights flashing in her eyes when she saw Qinlin. She glanced at her second sister's ugly face, then touched her own, her mind beginning to wander. Qinlin keenly sensed her intentions. Playing with her deliberately, he gave some ambiguous, suggestive hints. These hints fell within the bounds of familial affection, but strayed outside the realm of normal male-female interaction. As if receiving encouragement, Zhang Yu became like someone injected with adrenaline, scheming relentlessly to get close to Qinlin. She wasn't afraid Jiang Wan would find out. She was even afraid Jiang Wan wouldn't find out, forcing her to remain a hidden secret lover. As for Qinlin, he kept her dangling, giving a slap and a sweet date, blowing hot and cold like training a dog. Zhang Yu tried to seduce him for over half a year, but Qinlin still hadn't taken the bait. Unwilling to give up, she hatched a plan. She started imitating Jiang Wan. Seeing this, Qinlin didn't find it disgusting. Instead, he felt a slight thrill. See? Even though Zhang Yu looked down on Jiang Wan the most, to please him, she was willing to lower herself to imitation. Indeed, having power and status was good. He didn't see anything wrong with Zhang Yu's behavior either. After all, the upper-class circle wasn't that clean. He swam in those waters with ease. Such things were commonplace. Zhang Yu imitated so much that sometimes he actually felt a stir. Looking at her face, he couldn't help but recall the Jiang Wan of the past, vibrant, beautiful, generous, and full of life. Not the lifeless, ugly, haggard woman at home. Jiang Wan, hiding at home, occasionally revealed a timid, shrinking, insecure, and fearful side. This always reminded him of his own despicable past, and those broken, grey, miserable, unspeakable old days. Over time, he grew weary of it. Qinlin considered himself a man of his word. A businessman's foundation lies in integrity and trustworthiness. He had promised to take care of Jiang Wan for a lifetime, support her for a lifetime, and never once thought of divorce. But a person's life is so long. Who can't have a little slip in their affections? He admitted Jiang Wan was right, driven by a desire for conquest, and to prove himself, he got involved with Zhang Yu. But he never promised Jiang Wan he'd remain celibate his whole life for her. He had already refused so many temptations for her. What did it matter if he made a mistake all men make occasionally? It was just an accident. Once the child was born, everything would return to normal. He and Jiang Wan would be just like before. The affair came to light. Jiang Wan found out. He suspected Zhang Yu had gone and spilled the beans. Otherwise, with him keeping it so tightly under wraps, how could Jiang Wan have found out so quickly? Zhang Yu stubbornly denied it. For the child's sake, he didn't pursue it, thinking Jiang Wan would have to find out sooner or later anyway. Jiang Wan would definitely forgive him. She couldn't leave him, he thought with secret pride. Her family, he knew, gave her pitifully little affection. Now, with Zhang Yu becoming her rival in love, even if she went back, she wouldn't be welcome. No one would stand by her side. She lacked love, had few friends, and could only draw the feeling of being loved from him. If he didn't want her, who else would? Moreover, he never believed Jiang Wan's love for him could disappear, so he felt secure. Even if he acted recklessly, Jiang Wan would surely wait for him obediently right where she was, continuing to offer him her whole heart. He promised to contact Jiang Wan again after a month, and truly didn't ask about her for that month, focusing entirely on placating Zhang Yu. A month later, he brought the placated Zhang Yu back to City A. The house was empty, but most of Jiang Wan's belongings were still there. The smashed wedding photo had been pieced back together and placed on the bed. A wave of panic hit him. But from eldest sister, he learned Jiang Wan had gone traveling. He breathed a sigh of relief. Jiang Wan, he thought, had been molded since childhood into a submissive personality. Her nature gloomy and stubborn. How could she possibly think of running away? Probably just went out to clear her head. Once she sorted her thoughts, she'd naturally come back obediently. So he instructed his assistant to have a new wedding photo made and hung up. Then he started dealing with work. This major government project was crucial. Not a single slip-up was allowed. Although the bidding wouldn't start for another 6 months, opportunities favor the prepared. Working late into the night, he habitually reached out to the side but grasped at empty air. The table was bare. No warm milk or fruit as expected. Oh right. Jiang Wan wasn't home. He hastily ate something and went to bed. He slept restlessly that night, dreaming constantly of Jiang Wan crying, saying she hated him. The next day, after work, he buried himself in his study to handle work. Hungry beyond endurance, he impatiently yelled for Jiang Wan, only to remember no one was home. It was too quiet. Without Jiang Wan, this place didn't feel like a home at all, just a cage of steel and concrete. He began to miss the greasy kitchen smells he had so often complained about. Forget it. Once he finished this busy period, he'd coax her back as soon as possible. Suddenly, the internet was flooded with news about his scandals. Truth and fiction all dug up, with new fabricated stories added for spice. Chun Group's heir apparent abandons wife who shared hardships, knocks up sister-in-law. Chun Lin, originally an illegitimate son of the Chen family. Chun Group CEO and sister-in-law. For public opinion to explode so quickly and widely, Chen Lin didn't believe no one was secretly fanning the flames. This completely disrupted all his plans. Lovers and illegitimate children weren't really a big deal in their circle. But who was Chen Lin? He was now the helm of the Chun Group. Earlier, he had even crafted a public image for himself as a devoted family man, deeply in love with his ugly wife, a loyal husband. Now, with public opinion backfiring whenever netizens mentioned him, it was about his illegitimate status, his unfaithfulness, his chaotic private life. In short, not a single positive term. The government project bidding directly fell through. The Chen Group was immediately removed from the shortlist. Old Master Chen was furious. He stripped Chen Lin of his power, relegating him to a nominal position with no real authority. Chen Lin later investigated and found Jiang Yu, that foolish woman, was behind it all. She had, stupidly, tried to approach Mrs. Chen, the legal wife's mother. This idiot was just a plaything for his amusement. A decorative addition. If she weren't pregnant, he wouldn't have spent so much effort on her. Jiang Yu, realizing her mistake too late, came to Chen Lin with an ingratiating smile, only to be told, either take the money, abort the child, and leave. Or have the child, take the money, and leave. Dream if she thought Chen Lin would marry her. Chen Lin was once again plunged into the depths, vulnerable to anyone's scorn. There were plenty of people ready to add insult to injury, to watch his downfall. It's fine, he consoled himself. At worst, he could start over from scratch. Habitually, he wanted to seek comfort from Jiang Wan, as he had often done in the past. But he realized she hadn't returned in a long time. He had people search for Jiang Wan abroad for a very, very long time. But there was never any news. He began to grow anxious. At this moment of ruined reputation and abandonment by all, he finally realized no one would ever treat him as well as Jiang Wan had. This woman who had walked the path with him, witnessed his failures and glory, had long been integrated into his life. She was his spiritual pillar, his source of strength, unique, irreplaceable. Later, one day he received that timed email. Looking at the pregnancy report, an immense panic enveloped his entire being. He couldn't stop himself from trembling, shakily searching for the potted landscape. He smashed the rockery, knelt among the fragments, found the key in the scattered dirt, and urgently opened the storage room. A long time later, the anguished cries of a man, like a trapped beast, echoed from the storage room. Heart-wrenching and bone-chilling. Enough to make one's heart tremble. The room was filled with things, all tokens of Zhongwan's love for him. He randomly picked up one. A ring made from a soda can pull tab, with a label attached. Xiao Lindsay's confession ring. So cute. Only then did he remember. Back then, he had no money. He and Jiang Wan went out for part-time work. Coming back after finishing late, they bought a soda on the way and shared it. The moonlight was beautiful that night too. He looked at her, and she looked at him. Moved? He made this simple ring and asked Jiang Wan to be his girlfriend. She agreed. Trembling, He picked up a set of clay dolls, next to dolls hugging each other, intimately close. This was the Kixi Festival, Chinese Valentine's Day gift he had spent a long time making for Jiang Wan that year. He had almost completely forgotten about it. But Jiang Wan remembered, the label clearly written. She held no resentment towards him either. The content of the letter was entirely about the bits and pieces of their time together. Sweet and beautiful. Regarding the affair, Jiang Wan wrote, Zhao Lindsay just made a mistake in a moment of weakness. I should forgive him. I shouldn't have said such harsh words to him. I regret it, but I can't bring myself to admit it. Regarding Jiang Yu's child, Jiang Wan wrote, the child is innocent. I can't let Zhao Lindsay's child live the kind of life he had. But I'm scared. Scared Jiang Yu will come and steal my husband and my home. I'm afraid Zhao Lindsay will completely forget me. Eldest sister says he won't. Should I believe her? Regarding death, she wrote, Death says I lost. Lost is lost then. Zhao Lindsay didn't mean it either. I hope he'll have many children and grandchildren in the future. Live a happy life. He shouldn't dwell on a useless dead person like me anymore. Clutching those crumpled, blood and tear-stained letter pages, he curled up on the floor, weeping uncontrollably, as if abandoned by the entire world. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, little Wana. I'm sorry. It's all my fault. He had personally caused the death of the lover whose heart and eyes were filled only with him, and those 2 unborn children. He was the one who insisted on being despicable, committing an unforgivable sin. How utterly despairing she must have been while creating these things, with no one coming to save her. Everyone else lived contentedly. Only she struggled alone, dying silently. Chen Lin banged his head thump-thump against the wall, as if that could alleviate the grief with nowhere to vent inside him. He thought she should have run over and stabbed him, cursed at him loudly, wished him a miserable death. She should have taken revenge, at least dragging a few more down with her. But she did none of that. She only did things that barely scratched the surface. These objects and this letter henceforth transformed into an incredibly sharp blade, deeply embedded in the depths of his heart. Impossible to remove, making him utterly despise the person he was back then. Little Wana, I'm sorry. Yuan came to the pet hospital early in the morning today, but she didn't expect a man squatting by the entrance, reeking of alcohol and cigarettes, unshaven, haggard, his clothes a mess, looking like he hadn't bathed for days, emitting a strange odor. Without a word, he walked into the pet hospital, circling inside again and again. Yuan gripped her phone tightly, afraid. Suddenly, Yuan recognized him. Wasn't this the scumbag who had been all over the trending searches for 3 whole days? Especially since Sis Wanwan's photos had been dug up too. That scarred face had drawn malicious ridicule from some. So ugly, no wonder her husband doesn't come home. The man didn't even say he divorced her, just had an affair. Men this good are rare nowadays. Exactly. The man has power and money. If I were the legal wife, I wouldn't care if he fooled around. I'd just spend the money. She had been so furious her head felt like exploding. She immediately created 5 alternate accounts, arguing with these people day and night. Now, looking at this scumbag filled her with anger. She picked up a broom to chase him out. But the man made a shocking statement. He insisted on buying this pet hospital. Yuan naturally refused. But he wouldn't give up, talking about lawyers and lawsuits, seriously disrupting her rescue work for the day. Furious, she called the police. The police officer took him away for a talking to. Clapping in delight, she quickly took a photo and posted it online with the caption, "Really thinks has the domineering CEO from novels. Throwing his weight around here. SB scumbag." The next day, this incident trended again. Shocking. Chen Lin, heartless and deranged, attempts to seize legal wife's inheritance. Seeing he couldn't seize the hospital, Chen Lin gave up. But not entirely. Later, he would come in, pet the cats and do nothing else. In the spot Jiang Wan liked to be, he would often sit there all day, not eating or drinking. Completely silent, like an orphan awaiting redemption. Yuan scoffed at this. Later, he started deliberately trying to curry favor with Yuan, wanting her to tell him where Jiang Wan had actually gone. Even if her soul had been reaped by death. What about her body? If he couldn't see her alive, he absolutely had to get her ashes back. This Yuan Yuan definitely knew where Jiao Wan was buried. But Yuan Yuan kept her mouth tightly shut, like a stubborn clam impossible to pry open, answering, "I don't know," to every question. Chanlin's patience gradually wore thin, but he couldn't do anything to Yuan Yuan. One day, he walked in and knelt before Yuan Yuan, his eyes red, collapsing as he said, "I beg you, please tell me. I want to bring her home." Yuan Yuan didn't want to deal with him, but he was determined not to get up. A crowd gradually gathered at the hospital entrance, pointing and gossiping, some even filming videos. Yuan Yuan had no choice. She could only tell him Sis Wanwan went abroad for brain cancer treatment, and even she didn't know exactly where. At this, Chenlin finally understood. She lied to eldest sister saying she was going abroad traveling. She lied to Yuan Yuan, saying she was going abroad for treatment. She lied to him, saying she was participating in a competition. She was dead set on severing all ties with the Jiang family, and with him completely, never wanting them to disturb her again. Then her body or ashes was certainly lost forever. Translator's note. Another duplicate 9 in the original. Jiang Wan was dead. When the suicide note was delivered to the old Jiang couple, they wept and wailed in disbelief, especially Mother Jiang, almost crying herself into a faint. The old couple simply couldn't accept that a perfectly fine daughter had suddenly vanished. That suicide note, each word unadorned, yet filled with unspoken resentment and indignation, moved anyone who read it to tears. It wasn't that they didn't know they were biased, that they had neglected their second daughter, but they were accustomed to sacrificing Jiang Wan to accommodate others' feelings. They always thought they could make it up to her later in other ways, but they never actually acted on it. Now, wanting to make amends was futile. What had they actually done? When she was terminally ill, they pressured her to forgive her husband and sister's double betrayal. Jiang Wan hated them. At the end of the letter, she didn't even call them mom and dad anymore. They were filled with regret, but the person was already dead. What use was repentance now? Chenlin felt not an ounce of sympathy for them. If they weren't Jiang Wan's parents and family, he would absolutely have taken brutal revenge on this group. Just like that pet dog in the Chen family back then that deliberately bit him. He had it thrown into a dog meat restaurant long ago. Jiang Yu was terrified. She knew once her parents recovered from the shock, they would inevitably blame Jiang Wan's death on her, to transfer that guilt and regret. She would replace Jiang Wan, becoming the next Jiang Wan. The thought of living like that felt suffocating and agonizing. Chenlin left after delivering the letter, not caring about the family's crying and fussing. Jiang Yu caught up with him on an overpass. She vaguely understood. With Jiang Wan dead, Chenlin would definitely never marry her now. Her original plan was, once the child was born, she would make a scene, a huge scene, mobilize her parents and eldest sister to force Jiang Wan into compliance, to pressure Jiang Wan into persuading Chenlin to marry her. But now, she needed money to leave this place quickly. The two argued on the overpass. Jiang Yu, with her swollen belly, climbed onto the guardrail, pretending she would jump into the flowing traffic below, threatening Chenlin to either marry her or give her another large sum of money. She used to be like this. Cry, make a scene, threaten suicide, and her parents and eldest sister would always agree to her demands. But Chenlin wasn't them. Amid the onlooking crowd, he watched coldly as Jiang Yu made a spectacle of herself on the guardrail, swollen belly and all, waving her arms, but accidentally slipped and fell from the overpass, crashing head-on into a speeding large truck. The child was gone instantly. Jiang Yu was sent to the ICU for emergency treatment. The truck driver had terrible luck, facing a huge compensation payment. Chenlin paid it for him, and also settled the lawsuit from the Jiang family on his behalf. The old Jiang couple hadn't yet recovered from the blows of their eldest daughter being left with nothing and their second daughter's death. Now their third daughter ended up paralyzed from a high spinal injury, and a bit simple-minded, sometimes normal, sometimes crazy. The old couple suffered terribly. A year ago, they were a happy family of 5, the envy of their neighbors, with 3 daughters, each promising. How did it, in the blink of an eye, turn into this chaotic, chickens flying, dogs jumping situation? The eldest daughter, with her 2 granddaughters, lived at home. The old couple had to take care of them. The third daughter, crazy and erratic, lay paralyzed in bed. The old couple had to take care of her too. At this time, they missed that sensible, obedient and worry-free second daughter. But she was long gone. One night, Father Jiang woke up inexplicably, covered in cold sweat. Feeling the side of the bed, the quilt was already cold. He didn't even have time to put on slippers, running out barefoot. He found his old partner unconscious on the balcony, an empty DDVP, an insecticide bottle at her feet. Fortunately, discovered in time, she was sent to the hospital for stomach pumping. Though she regained consciousness, her health was much worse than before. It turned out that under prolonged remorse and day and night toil, Mother Jiang finally couldn't withstand the double blow of mental and physical strain, wanting to die to free herself. Later, neither of the old couple dared mention death again. After all, who would take care of the third daughter if they died? Everyone was just living, sustained by a breath. Life simmered on slowly like this, with no knowing when it would end. Midnight dreams. Chen Lin often dreamed of Jiang Wan smiling at him, sweet and warm. But when he walked over, she would instantly transform into an ugly pregnant woman with a huge belly, bleeding from all 7 orifices, glaring at him. Chen Lin, I'm in so much pain. Chen Lin, I don't want to die. Will you save me? Chen Lin, I hate you. Yes, Jiang Wan should hate him. He wasn't human. Jiang Wan's spirit awakened from chaos. She was somewhat puzzled why she hadn't been refined into a gem yet. Death told her. Chen Lin had summoned him, sacrificed his own soul in exchange for Jiang Wan's. Compared to Jiang Wan's soul, Death preferred Chen Lin's heart full of regret. So with a wave of his hand, he released Jiang Wan to be reincarnated. The moment Jiang Wan stepped into the cycle of rebirth, she did not, as legend tells, cross the naive bridge or drink the Mengpo soup. Instead, she felt as if she had been cast into a warm ocean current, her consciousness drifting with the flow, finally mooring at a vaguely familiar shore. Surrounded by hazy white mist, the faint sound of flowing water could be heard, yet no river was in sight. A blurred figure stood within the mist, its silhouette reminiscent of the young boy from her earliest memories clean, carrying a timid gentleness. Little Wanna, the figure called softly. Jiang Wan did not answer, nor did she approach. She simply watched quietly. The figure grew anxious, reaching out a hand, yet it seemed separated by an impervious layer of glass. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, he repeated, his voice filled with bone-deep pain and despair. So thick it seemed to congeal, as if he were the soul cast into the endless torment of purgatory. But within Jiang Wan there remained only a vast empty calm. The hatred had burned out, along with love and all the accumulated grievances, expectations, and dependencies from those long years. All had turned to ash, washed away by that final icy seawater. She watched Chen Lin in the mist, his futile repentance, weeping, even kneeling prostrate, yet her heart remained utterly unperturbed. So, after complete heart death, even hatred becomes a luxury. Towards him, she was left with only the word irrelevant. The white mist thickened, and the blood-tear-streaked figure finally faded, along with his belated futile lamentations, dissipating into the endless emptiness. Clear consciousness returned with a sharp cry of an infant piercing her eardrums. The smell of disinfectant, a warm swaddle, and a pair of hands gently patting and soothing. It's a beautiful baby girl. Look at those bright eyes. A nurse's voice carried a smile. Jiang Wan struggled to open her eyes, but her vision was blurred, only light and shadows shifting. She felt exhaustion and fell into a deep sleep. In this life, she was named Lin Chu. Born in an ordinary yet warm small town in the south. Her father was a gentle, refined middle school Chinese teacher. Her mother, a cheerful, smiling horticulturist. They were a love match, deeply devoted. Lin Siqi was their first child, their only child, bearing their unreserved expectations and love. Her childhood was steeped in sunlight and the scent of flowers. Her father would hold her and recite, "The small lotus just shows its pointed bud," while her mother would fill the space around her cradle with the softly colored chrysanthemums and roses she cultivated herself. They did not burden her with the responsibility of being an elder sister, only teaching her to recognize the kindness and beauty of the world. She could learn painting simply because she liked it, even if paint covered her clothes without rebuke. She could roll on the grass, chase butterflies until sunset. Her pocket money wasn't much, but on birthdays and Children's Day, she always received carefully chosen gifts, never hand-me-downs, belonging uniquely to Lin Si-chu. There was no scar on her face. Her skin was smooth. She inherited her mother's eyes and brows and her father's fine, straight nose. When she smiled, 2 shallow dimples appeared. She was the sweet little girl from the Lin family, among the neighbors. She was lively but could also be quiet, enjoying sitting in her mother's greenhouse, lost in thought, watching light filter through the glass roof, casting dappled shadows on leaves and petals. Memories of Jiang Wan did not completely vanish. They were like a faded, silent old film, occasionally flashing a few fragments in the depths of dreams. Icy seawater, coughed-up blood, the shadow of death in the mirror, and those labeled old objects filled with a desperate need to speak in the storage room. Each time she woke, a dull ache lingered in her heart, but it was quickly dispelled by the real birdsong outside the window, or her mother's gentle voice calling her for breakfast. That wasn't her story anymore. That was a previous life, an overly long and painful nightmare. The dream had ended. She was in the sunlight. At 7, Lin Si-chu started elementary school. On the first day, she saw a little boy crying in a corner by the school gate. He wore old, ill-fitting clothes, his backpack strap broken and clumsily tied with string. Other children walked around him or cast curious, disdainful glances. Lin Si-chu looked at him and suddenly remembered another little boy, long, long ago, hiding in the grass, hungry, and the equally lonely little girl who collected bottles with him. The dust of memory stirred lightly, bringing a distant pang of sorrow. She walked over, took a rabbit-shaped eraser from her new pencil case, and offered it to him. "Don't cry. This is for you. I'll take you to the teacher's office. The teacher will know what to do." The little boy looked up, his face streaked with tears and snot, staring at her blankly. Lin Si-chu smiled, her dimples showing faintly. "I'm Lin Si-chu, from Class 1, Grade 1. What's your name?" Many years later, Jo Che, who had become a renowned architect, would always remember that morning. The girl in a brand new dress, like a little son, how she easily erased his fear of the unfamiliar world with an eraser, and brightened the beginning of his dim life. He would later always say that Lin Si-chu was his Si-ju beginning, his starting point, his light source. Their friendship developed naturally. Jo Che's family was poor. His father had died early. His mother was often ill. But he was exceptionally bright, with a natural sensitivity to lines and structures. Lin Si-chu's parents were wonderful people, often inviting Jo Che for meals, tutoring him, even funding some of his interest activities. Lin Si-chu's paintings were filled with unfettered color and vitality, while Jo Che could build astonishing models with simple sticks and cardboard. One splashed color, the other constructed space. They were each other's most understanding admirers and critics. Time flowed quietly like water. There were no life and death wagers, no family power struggles, no sisterly strife, no betrayal or abandonment. There were only the pressures of monthly exams, the cheers of basketball games, the secret joy of sneaking ice cream together, and the starlight in their eyes when sharing dreams. On Lin Si-chu's 17th birthday, Jo Che gave her a miniature glass greenhouse model he had designed and built himself. Inside, he had even used special materials to create a few roses from her mother's unique cultivars that would never wilt. Siku. The young man's ears were slightly red, but his gaze was utterly serious. "I don't know exactly what the future holds, but in every space I hope to design. I want there to be your paintings, or windows for you to see the scenery." Lin Si-chu hugged the crystal-clear greenhouse model, her heart wrapped in warm honey. She knew this wasn't a promise, but something more precious, a sincere invitation concerning the future. She nodded emphatically, her eyes curving into crescents. After the college entrance exams, Lin Si-chu was admitted to a top domestic fine arts academy, while Jo Che went to the best architecture department in another city. The distance did not pull them apart. Instead, it made each reunion more precious. They shared their experiences, discussed art and function, and stayed up late working on assignments together over video calls. During holidays, they traveled together. Lin Siqi recorded landscapes with her brush, while Joche captured the soul of architecture with his camera and sketches. The year they graduated, a public welfare project, Joche participated in, won an award, bringing a prize. With that money and his savings from part-time jobs, he rented a small studio near their alma mater. The day the studio's sign went up, Lin Siqi was the only guest. In the empty space, he performed a simple architecture student-style ribbon-cutting ceremony for her. Here, in the future. He looked around at the bare concrete walls, light in his eyes. There will be your studio, my design desk, maybe a small kitchen to cook noodles for you. There's nothing now. But Siqi, are you willing to build our future together with me, starting from here? There was no expensive ring, no flowery language. Only a sincere heart and a rough starting point filled with infinite possibilities. Lin Siqi smiled, tears slipping down. She reached out and took his slightly calloused hand. Okay, she said. But I want a big south-facing window, good lighting, suitable for painting. Later, the studio truly slowly became their dream space. Lin Siqi's paintings began attracting gallery attention, and Joche's designs gradually gained recognition. They still weren't wealthy, but they were busy and fulfilled, staying up late together to revise plans, celebrating small successes at late-night street stalls, and planning the blueprint for a home truly their own. One spring day, the sunlight was exceptionally good. Lin Siqi was painting a piece for a series about rebirth. Joche came back early, quietly walked behind her, watched for a long time, then softly asked, Siqi, do you believe in past and future lives? Lin Siqi's brush paused. A blob of warm orange pigment fell on the canvas, slowly spreading. She remembered those occasional dream fragments, the cold and despair, and also the warmth and steadfastness of the person before her. She turned around, sunlight dancing on her eyelashes. Maybe, she smiled, taking the hand he had placed on her shoulder, her fingers warm. But what matters is this life, right? In this life, I'm well, we're well. Joche lowered his head, kissed the top of her hair. This life is good. He gently drew her into his embrace. For every life after this, if there are more, I hope I can find you too, in a place with good sunlight, to start over again. On the canvas, that blob of warm orange gradually transformed into the shape of a rising sun, dispelling all lingering shadows from that distant past life. On the windowsill, the pot of white roses her mother had given her, which Lin Siqi tended herself, quietly bloomed its first flower of the season. The petals unfurled, pure and flawless, facing the light, full of life. The end.